for you? Like, what words come to mind? Anything. There's no right or wrong here. We're just really curious what kind of things pop up for you. Let's see how that goes.
If you have some questions regarding Mural, you can just like ask them here or drop them in the chat.
Well, we can definitely see that, Ale, you've been active in this field for longer. Very articulate. Less carbon emissions, yeah.
Yes.
Salaries.
Salaries. It's also one, of course. It gives some kind of tension to see what someone is typing.
Yeah, we're all like watching
each
other type some stuff. Feel free to add more stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be just one. Just go for it. Go all out if you want. Let's take like one more minute because I think we're already over our schedule anyway. Seba?
Yes,
changes we're willing to make. Yeah, that's the Brabants kwartiertje. That's Simona. But that's all right. Beautiful. So yeah, this gives us a pretty cool idea. Yeah. Alrighty. So would you like to unlock the field in the bottom and maybe rearrange the post-it, or someone's still writing something?
Sure.
So I think you guys made some great comments there. I just listed a few of the, well, the Brundtland Commission, obviously, which is the very well-known definition of sustainable development from 1987. And also basically what you already wrote, like the balance between natural resources and human life, exactly. So what we see is that there are a lot of models and definitions or things out there already, but most of them, you have donut economics and you have triple bottom line and you have all these methodologies. Most of them, or if we dare to say all of them, they combine or they integrate at least these three fields, like the economy, environmental, and the social aspect. So yeah, I think it's what you kind of wrote. So the idea behind why I wanted to do this was that very often, depending on the group, of course, we see a lot of people go for green or eco-friendly or recycling or like these type of words. And the idea behind this exercise was to give you the more strategic and the systemic perspective. So when we view and accept sustainability in that broader sense as our goal, then we can ask the question, like, how do we get there? Like, as you as well, Ale, already said, there are so many things you can do. But ultimately, it's finding the integration between these three dimensions. So the next one is to get another glimpse in the way you think. What does innovation mean to you? Same exercise. So go all out.
Make some space for you guys. Someone keeps dropping bombs.
What does that mean?
Yeah, their bombs show up in the like constantly in the screen.
Oh,
No idea.
maybe for next time we should do a little bit of music when we do this exercise.
I can arrange that.
Oh, it's okay for now. We can, doesn't have to take too long to have it look. Oh, I'm not seeing a lot of post-its yet. Oh, there's the music. Thank you. Thank you, Manu.
It's a little bit less awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the 80s.
That's all right. I don't know if anybody who is in Holland at the moment listens to Q Music at all, but they are doing the top 1500 of the Foute Uur. So how do I translate that into English? It's like all the songs from the past, from the 80s, 90s, and zeros that you loved back then, and you're not supposed to like, but you really do, kind of. It's like guilty pleasures, if you will.
Maybe people know ABBA.
Of course.
ABBA, of
course. Yes.
All right. So I'm seeing design thinking. Awesome. Find new ways of developing sustainable solutions. Techniques that enable a faster move to sustainability, i.e. permaculture. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah. Creative thinking. Right. So if we're kind of ready to see the sea turtle is still moving around. I'm happy to reveal our little definitions there as well. So a lot of reading. I won't dive into all them and do all that. We're not in a lecture today. But if you quickly glance over them, you'll probably notice that they're pretty abstract. and innovation in general, you can just about innovate anything, like a product, a service, a process. So it's very broad. So for us, a lot of times people think that innovation is about coming up with new things. It has to be new, which is true in a way. But for us, it's not just about the creation of new things and new ideas, but about things and ideas that really have value, or to put it really, really simply, things that are like better than what we're doing right now. And then, of course, the reason why we started sustainability sessions as well is, why do we need to combine innovation and sustainability? Well, sustainability essentially gives us like the rationale, like the definition of value or of the word better. And it gives direction to the question of what we should be changing and why. And innovation is the process that it provides us with the structure and the process and the tools and methodologies or the techniques, how to get there. So yeah. So if we were to already try to answer that question of why we need innovation for sustainability, you might say that it's because we need really big changes to happen in many of the old and the current ways of doing things. And for that to happen, we also need new ways that can become widely adopted, as one of the definitions puts it, widely adopted new practice. So I definitely invite you guys, I don't know if you already have, if you're a product designer, then you probably will have. Design thinking is one of the methodologies, but there's lots and lots and lots of resources and ideas and books. And with the Green Sprint, like I already kind of said in the beginning, we've adopted a specific process that we offer to our clients, which is called the Design Sprint. which is a combination of design thinking and lean or agile methodology, if you will, like startup thinking. But there's obviously lots more in the innovation toolkits and things that you can use and you can practice with. And we didn't want to, our intention with sustainability sessions is not so much that it's a class on innovation or explaining you what a design sprint does, but we really want to explore with other sustainable practitioners, even like you guys. So we didn't know what to expect, like who would attend. So how you feel about sustainability innovation and how you use it in your work. So for now, we've asked Simone, who joined us from Brabant, to share her story about that. So I would like to introduce her. And if you guys have any questions for her along the way, feel free to put them in the Zoom chat. We won't need the mural for now, but we will in a bit. I'll ask you the third question. So yeah, Simone, I think you're there. Are you?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Awesome. So I think you started your company, People of Tomorrow, which is about sustainable packaging consulting. And I think you started fresh out of university. Well, can you tell us about yourself and why you started your organization?
Well, actually, I started People of Tomorrow during university. So I graduated with my own company. And in university, I studied food innovation and I specialized in packaging design. And well, though I'm a packaging nerd, I also noticed that my sector was the beginning of a lot of waste. And as I found myself in the beginning of that waste stream, I also knew that I could be part of the solution. That's actually how People of Tomorrow was born. So just by thinking like, okay, how can I improve this world with the knowledge I have? That's the beginning of this all. And with People of Tomorrow, we analyze packaging options, provide insights, and set achievable innovation goals. And with that, we challenge the status quo to achieve both short-term sustainability improvements as packaging goals for 2030 or 2050.
Right. Okay, very cool. So you already mentioned the 2050. Well, we might get back to that in a bit, I think, maybe. But for now, I'm really curious what your ideas are like on sustainability innovation, like anything on the board that people put up there on the post-it that stands out for you, or?
Well, the one from, I guess, Seba, the challenge we are willing to make individually to care for the environment and the planet. And that's a very interesting one because it's about also our own human behavior that has to change to develop more sustainable options for our world. So with only innovating in technologies, we won't be there. We also have to make a 2.0 version of ourselves. And
I have a question for you in the chat. So Elle is asking if the packaging your company is working on at the moment is just focusing or is just for the Netherlands or more countries?
No, we actually we're open for collaborations with also other countries, but we are specialized in the government goals of the Netherlands.
Right. Okay.
So in Europe, we also made some goals, but also the Netherlands itself also made their own goals for 2050.
Right. So okay. So, but it's a good question from Alice. So if we can ask you, like, what kind of organizations do you generally work with? Like, what kind of questions and challenges then do they approach you for?
Well, most of the time it's food companies because I'm specialized in food packaging, but also in our backup of senior designers, we also have just product designers. So we're open for non-food as well. And to give you an example, I once worked for Grace and Bakery, which is in New York, and they produce the brownies for brands like Ben & Jerry's or Starbucks. And I helped them out with this project in which they wanted to improve their own packaging, but also but we also jumped into the product itself, so the brownie, and how to make a 2.0 version of that brownie. And that's an interesting one, because with creating something new in packaging, you also really have to check out the product itself, because there goes a lot of energy into the product, and to improve the packaging, you can also check out if what if I make my product stronger, then my packaging doesn't have to be that strong. Yeah.
I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah, didn't come out the right way, but
I think I can grasp what you mean a little bit. So Ali was getting ahead of a question that I had in my mind as well, which has to do with the 2030 and the 2050 goals that you kind of already, said something about. What is on that agenda? So Ali's concrete question is it just to reduce the packaging or using sustainable materials for it? But let's take that step back and see, like, what do those 2030, 2050 goals mean, and how do they impact your work, and how, what do you do with them?
Well, for every company that's different, of course, because they use other products, but also they have their own goals. So first I start the project, and then I jump into sustainability, which means a lot, but also nothing. And I ask them, like, okay, what is sustainability for you? Is that no plastic in the ocean? Is that no carbon, no emissions in the so no emissions in the sky, so less carbon emission? Or do you want to solve the I'm struggling with my English, but do you want to solve the warming up of the earth, or do you want to solve the plastic problem? And that's like, if you choose either one of them, you're gonna walk in all a different path. And from the government, so let's say from the European government, they either ask you to make your product more circular, use less plastic, or use bio-based materials. And like, for now, if you start a project now, you really have to make choices about that. So we will make a roadmap with you that you can walk, and then reach your own personal goals for 2030.
All right. So when you first arrive at a company or first talk to them, do you ask them, like, what are your goals, or what is your objective here, or which one of the sustainable development goals maybe they've adopted, or does it start there, or where do you start exactly with your?
Okay, yeah, we start with asking them all these questions of what sustainability means for them, what are the goals they already set, but also what are you using right now, where are your opportunities, where are some quick wins, and with that we make a plan of what you should do to improve your packaging, but also your product, the whole concept. And with that, reach that goal for 2030, which we made together in that session.
All right. So to get back to my question and Ali's as well, it can be as much of a customer kind of changing their behavior as much as really having that material change from one sort of material to another.
Yeah, it's not only in the materials. So yes, sometimes you have to change the materials or make it a mono packaging in which you only use one kind of material, use bio-based materials, or maybe if that's not possible, use something of which you know that in 5 years there will be a bio-based version of it. And then you also have to check out, how can I play with my customers? So how can I make it people-proof? And with doing that, you really have to understand how change works. So like us humans, we really don't like to change. And that's also in these companies. So the marketeers will always say, yeah, but if we do it this way, we will sell more of our products. So we also try to crack that code and try to invent a new way of selling the product in which you have to use less materials or packaging in general.
Right. Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, well, the best example of it is here in the Netherlands. We have these paprikas, and we package them with like one red one yellow one, and one green one together in one plastic packaging. And we only do that so people will buy 3 paprikas instead of 1. What if we like play with the consumers and also make them buy 3 paprikas without using that packaging?
Right. Okay. So taking that example, like how did that go? Like what the marketing manager obviously didn't want to, probably had some objections there. So what did you do?
Oh, well, this is just an example. I didn't do this project yet.
All right.
But yeah, like we will help out the marketing manager, but also the people that how are they called? Well, okay, doesn't matter. We will try to create a whole new concept for the veggies, for the paprikas. So what if you make them a little bit more expensive, but if you buy 3, you will get a discount? Or what if you play with the expansion date of the paprikas, and if they are almost expired, they will be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And all those kind of things. So like we try to hack on what we already, like what we're always been doing.
Right.
Do you then remove the option of packaging of the 3 paprikas? If you just remove it, people will search for something else.
Right. Do you, if you want to have those like concept development things, do you test them in a smaller environment, for instance?
Well, yes, we just test them in, like, for this example, it's a supermarket. We will just test it there. So it's about taking risks, and People of Tomorrow is there to challenge you on taking risks. So like, yeah, like we might kick them in the butt, but only to make them jump higher. Or yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Another great question from Ali. You're so active. I love it. Very, very active. So yeah, you're ahead of us again in material wise. Because one of the questions that we had for you guys, just answer this in the Zoom really quickly, is who is in a country or in a place right now where they've actually banned plastic bags in shops? Probably most of us. I think if you're in Holland, you have to pay for them right now. So
not all of them.
Not all of them?
They're not banned. No. Like the supermarket plastic bags, yes. But if you go to the veggie sector, you will still find them, and they're just for free.
Yeah.
So they're not banned.
Yeah, that's how everybody's breaking the rules. So the system archetype of breaking the rules. We're taking bringing the plastic bags from the veggie department and putting all my groceries in there. But usually, as Ian is commenting as well, mostly paper bags. So a lot of the replacement is paper.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a very interesting thing that's happening there. So I won't rain on your parade. So what are your thoughts on this, and on plastic in general as well? And even bigger, what is the worst material in your opinion?
A lot of questions.
Yeah. Lots of questions.
Well, that's a funny one with the paper bags and the plastic bags, because out of research, it's showing that paper bags are not too great for the environment compared to the plastic bag, because paper uses a lot of energy to produce, and it also uses a lot of material. Doesn't have that much of a great barrier, and if you look into plastic, we use way less material, less energy we will put in it to create it. So with that, it's actually more sustainable for a bag. And then you're talking about energy, so carbon emissions in producing, and that makes a bigger difference than oh, I'm losing it. Wait. That makes a bigger difference for the environment than using a paper bag.
Yeah. So what would be an interesting alternative? I see as well a comment saying reduce, recycle, and reuse is a very classic method. So what would be your idea of a replacement for plastic bags or paper bags, or how could we go about as well? What needs to happen there?
Well, the thing is with that is it's more in our own behavior. So we have to change the way we use plastic. It does have value, and we have to return it to our waste processors, and they will make new bags out of it. The bags we find here in the Netherlands, they're always made out of recycled material. If you return them, they can remake it again, and with that, you will really make a change. And that's a funny thing with plastic. Most of our food will be best in plastic. So, like, it's a great guardian against food waste. And food waste is like number 1, no, okay, number 2 on our list for changing the environment. So if you look at it that way, plastic is actually a hero in food waste. And then if you like look at it again, plastic, it's not like plastic is the problem, but it's our own human behavior which is the problem. We are the ones that dump it. We are the ones that should return it and recycle it, and it's not plastic that's making the problem.
No, so it's not the material of plastic, but it's the way that we've adopted it. So we've basically taken, like I think you mentioned this before as well, or maybe it was a different call that we had, that we've taken a material that nature doesn't know how to destroy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you want to elaborate on that, then the floor is yours.
Well, we made plastic so sustainable that nature isn't capable of breaking it down anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because it won't break down anymore, but it also makes it that strong that we can use it for so many options. And yeah, the thing is, like, we made this formula, molecule formula, and like, it's not nature anymore, but we did make it out of natural products like fossil fuels. And now more and more we will find plastics made out of sugarcane or corn.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is, and of course your specialty is in food packaging as well. That's what you mentioned already. So within that field, I can imagine that plastic can also be a hero because the two work together. Mm-hmm. I don't know about your experience in other industries apart from food. What kind of useless material streams do you see in other industries where you're like, your hands are itching, or you're like, oh my God, can we please tackle this? Do something about this.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of good examples. I always take the example of the Barbie doll, which is packaged in an absurd packaging, and it's only for a doll. So why do we really want to make it that great for something kids play with? So, like, it doesn't, in this case, it's only there to sell the product, and it's not there to like extend the expire date, because there is none. It's only there to protect the doll, and you can also do that in just a mono-material cardboard box. So yeah, you won't see the Barbie doll anymore, but then you have to innovate in how can I sell my Barbie doll without using plastic.
Yeah, fair enough. And then a little bit of a challenge question, maybe, apart from the paper and plastic debate, I can imagine there are tons of other materials like glass and can and many other things that we can use, maybe things that I cannot even think of or we don't even know. Do you have a secret hero or a material that you would like to see used more often, or is your secret hero plastic, which is rather controversial,
Yeah, well,
maybe?
it could be painful, but although I don't want plastic in the ocean, plastic is in food packaging such a sustainable packaging. So in that
Right.
case, it's like a secret hero, and I really believe in the bio-based plastics, not the composable bio-based plastic, but the plastics that we can recycle. I really believe there's a big market for them, and there's a lot of opportunities for them in the future. But also like tin or glass, it really seems more sustainable. But we don't have to forget that we're using fossil fuels to warm these ovens, and these ovens are on all day on a very high temperature. So we use more fossil fuels for making glass than we do for making plastic.
Right. So is that something that you would learn from for instance, from a life cycle assessment? Is that something that you use?
Yeah, I sometimes use them, but in packaging and in food packaging, especially the life cycle analysis, they forget the part where we lose the packaging. So if it comes into nature and it comes into the ocean, we cannot calculate it anymore. So it's not really like, it's a good method, but it's not perfect yet. So they have to calculate the loss of packaging as well, and then
Right.
yeah.
So assuming that we're going to continue to be using plastic in a variety of ways, coming back to the reduce, reuse, recycle, where do you see improvement? Where would you think that improvement needs to take place still? Where in that process?
Okay, well, you first have to dive into the product. What does the product need to be shelf life? And if that requires a barrier for example, oxygen, well, you can use plastic, but there's like all these different kind of plastics, and they all have their own properties. And one does have a barrier for plastic, the other one doesn't have it, but it has a great barrier for water, for example. So we combine them, and then we make a material that we cannot separate anymore, and we cannot recycle it anymore. So the thing is, like, we have to go towards a world where we will only use one kind of plastic in one kind of packaging.
Okay.
And that's called monomaterials, and that's how we can like innovate towards that circular world.
All right, that makes sense. So away with the crisp packages with 6 or 7 layers of stuff in them, and they need to come up with something new. Yeah, and I think I liked what you said before about people-proofing things. I think that is as much for the consumers as well as for the people who work within the organizations, like the marketing managers who have their goals. And
like you can like create this amazing packaging which is which scores great on sustainability, but then again, people have to use it, and if they use it the wrong way because they don't understand it or it's not convenient enough for them, it will also still be a problem for our environment. So a very good example of that is the composable plastic packaging. In our current systems, we won't compose them, and it won't compose in nature. It will only compose in this industrial compose machinery. And like the waste processors in most of Europe, they say like, okay, we cannot, for us, it's not creating business, and the compost that comes out of our machinery still has some plastic materials in it, and we don't want to sell it to farmers because then they will create new potatoes all plastic, and that's like no one wants that because those are these microplastics. So they are just burning it, and then we have this solution of compostable plastic, which isn't composed, it is burned, and then it's a waste of all these great materials.
Yeah, so there are a lot of misconceptions in material use, I think. So you have still a lot of work for you to do. We have another question. Where do you source the plastic from? I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not sourcing plastic because I'm not a producer of plastic materials or whatever. I'm only a designer, and I'm a counselor actually in how to create new designs and new innovations, and which materials you can use for for a better 2.0 version of your product. So I don't source anything, but I do work together with producers, and they source it from many places. But for example, the bio-based plastic I was talking about earlier, if it's made out of sugarcane, most of the time it will come out of Brazil.
Does that answer your question, Ale? You can just nod. I can see you on the screen if it's all right. So another thing that we spoke briefly about circular systems, circular economy, closing that loop. One of the things that we see in circular economy as well, one of like the preconditions that is counterintuitive to the way our economy works at the moment, is that we need collaboration, like within the supply chain and all of that. I can see that happening. Like, I'm assuming that a lot of companies right now are jumping onto the sustainability and the bio-based train. If I follow your story correctly, how is that going? Do you see companies working together to solve this common puzzle of sustainability, or is it like seen as a competitive advantage?
Yeah, well, sustainability turned out to be a great marketing tool. So if you're the most sustainable brand of them all, yeah, of course you want to share that with your competitors. So what's happening right now is that everybody is doing it just for themselves. They're innovating in their own kitchen, and then they are not willing to share it with others. And with that, yeah, they kind of forget that they wanted to change the world. They didn't want it, or maybe they did want, but it's not a marketing tool. So you can use it in your benefit if you are doing it. So if you're doing or making more sustainable packaging, good job on you. And I always will say, like, okay, use it for your marketing, but don't use it to be better than your competition.
Yeah, it's we want it to have like this positive message, but this does make me a little bit sad. Just a little bit, because there is still so much work, and it's so much I'm so happy that you guys are doing this podcast, for instance, and that we get to do these sessions, that it's about awareness and changing people's behavior and changing that mindset. And there are so many preconditions for all of this to happen. Yeah, I'm just really happy to see so many people jumping onto the sustainability ship right now and think like, hey, this has to change, especially millennials and younger people. Yeah, which kind of takes us back to, because I kind of forgot about the last question about the 2050 goals. I felt you said that really, really beautifully. You are the generation in 2050 who will still be here, who will still be working.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the people who are leading us right now, the old gray-haired white men, if you will, it's yeah. How how does that work? Like, how do your conversations go on a boardroom level, and how do you deal with that idea of?
Yeah, that's funny. Like these old gray men or women, they are the ones that make the decisions right now because they have that much experience and they have higher functions than, of course, my generation and the generation before me and after me. They will start in junior functions. So for them to really make a change in the company will take a couple of years to really have a voice in that. And that's where people of tomorrow comes in, and we say like, okay, listen, we are those people of tomorrow, which will be working in 2050, and will still be like pretty young by that time. Like I will be around 50, 60, something there. But for me, I feel like that's still young, and I'm still like really living that. So if you are talking about the future, you really have to have the future at the table to make decisions with you. Yeah. Otherwise, you will always turn out. Oh, it will turn out you're making the same decisions you made the last 20 or 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why we need to innovate new ways of doing things. So yeah, I kind of forgot to ask you guys the question of how do you see the world in 2050? I'm still curious if you are willing to go to the mural and just pop some post-its over there. And then that will also probably be the last thing that we do. Maybe we can go back to Simone to see what she has, if she has anything she wants to say or add about all the stuff that you're writing there.
Ali actually had another quite interesting question on sugarcane, and I'm also very curious about this.
Oh, yep, I can see that. We'll take that after the, we'll do that as the last question then. Perfect. Well, in the meantime, maybe we can actually answer that question. So Ali asked, how sustainable is using sugarcane actually? Because we've heard that this process is killing part of the Amazonias. So...
Yeah, well, no, that's not a thing. Like, yes, the Amazon in Brazil, they're really killing it. But the sugarcane we're using for plastic is a sugarcane which is actually like waste material of sugarcane. So they first take out of the sugar, which they will definitely take out for just the sugar market, and then you can take another second second time you can take out of the sugar, which has a less value, but it's enough sugar to make alcohol from, and with the alcohol we can make it into ethanol, which is alcohol, and then you can make it a polypropylene.
But I think I have an idea where Ali's question might come from, because we see this in exactly bioethanol or fuel from corn and things like that. That what started happening was because they were subsidizing growing corn and like these other materials that they were using to make biofuels from or with, is that it actually started getting them more money. So they started producing more and more and more of this.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when a system, an idea in itself is good, but then the system kind of takes over and then it escalates. So it's shifting that burden to, it causes another problem essentially. So I think that might be the question behind the question that Ale was asking.
Yeah, well, in the world of corn, this is really like a big problem. First of all, corn is something humans can eat and do need to eat to get their vitamins from. But sugarcane is used for sugar, or they make tequila from it, for example. And well, not that I don't like tequila, but it's not the first thing you need in life. So it will concurrate with one day maybe with the alcohol world, but that will take so long because we are only using 0.2% of the sugar cane in Brazil for making this plastic.
Okay.
And again, it's like a waste stream of it.
Okay.
So it's like they don't have to take away more of the forest for the production of this plastics.
Right. Okay. Does that answer your question, Ale? Yeah. Cool. Okay. So let's go to the board. It's actually quite nice. I just thinking about this. It's actually quite nice to do it at the end. So how do you see the world in 2050? To see what your thoughts on this are. Does it make me sad or not sad or happy? Well, 40% of the world taking action towards sustainability. Okay, that's why not 100? I don't know if anybody wants to share their thoughts on this. You can unmute yourself. Who was this?
That was me, actually.
Why does that not surprise me?
100%. Well, it's true, I would say ambitious, because I mean, right now, if we think about the percentage of people that are actually taking action from home, we're looking at about 5% of the world. The ones that are actually because that's the thing, sustainability is so complex. I mean, if we look at Latin America, I mean, very little people are really doing something from home. In fact, I have my friends that just laugh at me because we recycle and we have different bins and we look after this. They just laugh at it because they don't do it. And I tell them, you are the reason why we're not going to have a planet where we're going to destroy this planet, because you're just caring about just living your life, you know, your comfortable ways of doing things, and you're not thinking about others. So for us to even reach 40% of the world taking action, I think it's quite a lot of people. Would you say? What would you say? Or what would you think?
Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, 40% of people, yeah, but I hope 100% of companies will do this, and with that, the people secretly are cooperating on it as well because they will buy the products. So 40% of the people, yes, please. 100% of companies is my goal.
Yeah, I think I'm tending to, well, the personal goals is always nice to have, but yeah, I think I like the one that says sustainability will be priority on agendas. I would even add to that a little bit, if you'd ask me, that it's default. So we change our default setting, that we design for sustainability instead of designing for waste, essentially, keeping within the topic of tonight. So really moving away from that linear structure that we have. And I'm still hopeful that by 2050 we will have a fully circular. I'm starting to doubt myself now, that we'll have a big part of the world in a more circular dimension, if you will. Let me see what else is on there. Many more high-speed trains, more PV panels, and much more migration from the from the arid Middle East and Africa region. So there's positives and negatives on there. Very, very cool. So climate migration, is that something that you're worried about? I don't know who wrote this. If you want to comment on this. Nope. Okay. Anybody else wants to comment on climate migration?
Yeah, well, for me, I think at least the way that I see it is that some countries are going to not be good for people to live there because there are not going to be enough water. Is going to be really dirty. So that's why people are going to start immigrating to other places to take. I mean, we're humans and we need to have like the basic stuff as for living. So I think that is the main reason why immigration will start. But I think that will also open some important fights between countries. So as we can see it now, right, like all the immigration is like affecting a lot of countries and in the negative way. So in that, yeah, I just see like sometimes I try to be super positive when it comes to sustainability and to everything, and sometimes I just got my, you know, like my shoot of reality, and I see that we're going to end up in a war if we really don't take action on it. So
yeah.
I think we watch Planet of the Humans, and after watching Planet of the Humans, you kind of realize how much biomass is just destroying the world. And we're just in this a vicious circle where we are thinking electric cars are sustainable. No, they're not. You're thinking solar panels are sustainable, and no, they're not. Solar windmills at the moment are sustainable. No, they're not. Well, yeah, the product is what you created, but the biomass and the products you use, or the industrial side, all that part is creating so many carbon emissions in the life cycle of say the windmills or the solar panels will be like X amount, and in the end it's just not. So we are far at the moment. So it's a bit depressing, so to say, sometimes when you do those kind of things.
Yeah, I think it's very similar for most of us who are in this field, that we try to be positive, and then sometimes we have our moments when we're like, oh, how are we going to get there? Well, that said, the how, and putting back our positive hat again, we'd also plan to do a little exercise with you to trigger our innovation muscle, if you will, which is something that Minou is going to take you through. So I'll give the floor to Minou, and thank you very much, Simone, for having this conversation with us.
Of course.
And I hope you stick around for the final part and the wrap up. And yeah,
I will.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah. So we already talked like a lot about innovation and everything, and indeed, like, how are we gonna do this and how are we gonna tackle this? And often it's about doing things differently. So yes, we can come up with solar panels and wind turbines and finding all new big technologies on like how to improve things and how to fix it. But the realization is actually that we have to change things how we're doing them right now. And we have to do it more efficiently, and we have to change our behavior, and we have to reevaluate the products we're using right now. And that is actually what we can do with this tool. It's called Scamper. I don't know if anyone is familiar with it. It's an innovation tool. It's a creative thinking tool. And if you go to the mural, and then in mural, you can follow my mouse, then you will see what I see. And just let me know if everyone is there. So everyone should see a screen with Scamper on it. So Scamper is perfect. I see everyone is showing up. Scamper is an innovation tool, which basically you take mostly a product, like a physical product, and in various rounds, you start finding new ways how you could innovate this product, how you could change this product. So you're going to substitute at the beginning. Then you're going to combine, adapt, modify, eliminate, and rearrange. So we're going to think like, what can we take away? What can we add? Which materials can be rearranged, or which elements can we rearrange? Can we modify something? Can we adapt something from another sector and implement it? This can we maybe look at how they do this in other sectors, or maybe in architecture, and see like what happens then. So you're gonna really look at the product. And if you go to all the way on the left, you can see double click for examples. If you click on this, it shows you how you can use the tool. And it's not the most sustainable example because it's a hamburger. But so for example, like a hamburger, you can substitute the hamburger for an apple, or you can put it to another use and make a pizza out of it, or reverse rearrange. You can deconstruct. And what we want to do is walk through all these steps with you guys and find new ways and new options for the packaging of a meat container. So what in this packaging could you substitute, or maybe even what in the whole product itself? So I want to like take every time like 1 minute to go to every step. I will start a short timer so everyone knows how long it is, and then you can just start with substitute and add some sticky notes with your ideas on it. what are different options? What can we change? What can we substitute on this meat packaging?
Minu,
Yeah?
did you enter hard plastic for vacuum wrapper?
Yes, I'm just like one. I already said when I entered this, maybe I'm gonna write this down as like an example, and then Simone is gonna tell us, no, that's really a ridiculous idea.
Yeah. Well, well, I can explain why it isn't.
Well, let's give everybody some time to put some ideas on the board first.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Do we need some music for this again?
Yeah, that would be nice. I think so.
I think someone mentioned ABBA.
Yes, Patrick did. Oh, I love how someone's going into traveling instead of meat, but that's okay. It's just the principle is the same.
The principle is the same, and they do already organize Zoom city trips. I did a city trip to Tel Aviv the other day. It was really cool. Okay, so now we wanna like move on to, for example, to combine. So what popped into my head is like maybe if we combine the product that was in this product with one of the products you often use it with, so you don't need two packages, but you just stuff everything in one package. This is probably not the best from a conversion. Like, how do you say that in Simone?
Yeah.
Because conserveren, conserving.
Conserve.
Yeah, it's not the best from a conserving standpoint, but it would save a lot of packaging.
But as with all brainstorms, there is no right or wrong, right?
No.
It's just popping your ideas on there.
So if you
initially
want to combine ideas on there, or even if you want to move on to any of the other stages, like what I normally do is I go by stage, and in the end, you go back to the top and you start the whole thing again, but then focused on one of the ideas that popped up during the brainstorm or during the ideation.
Why is that important, in an innovation process?
Why is it important? Actually, there is a saying that as well, like that your first idea is never your best idea, and you always have to keep iterating. And a lot of people have the tendency to fall in love with their first solution of their first idea. And there is even a whole process or a whole exercise where you're forced to like write down your first idea, or write it down and really delete it or like rip it up. Because the first idea is just what pops into your head straight away, and that is probably the most obvious one, where the most obvious one is not always the best one. And it's often good to like keep iterating and keep coming back to the solutions you came up with, and come back to it, also rethinking it based on like experiences and input you got during the whole iteration. I see that everyone is kind of sticking to the top, but we can move on to, yes, combine. Yeah, banana. Yeah, that is actually using banana peels that could both be substitute or combine. So it's not a hard dividing. Mm. And Simona,
Yeah.
if you look at this packaging, is there something like you could eliminate?
Yeah, that useless sticker. I'm not really able to read what it's saying, but also using a sticker is also using materials that you probably won't need. They could make it into like I'm the pink one. I also dropped some ideas, but make it into a mono PET material. So like the PET bottles, you can also make it with the sausage packaging, and with that you can enter the circular waste stream of PET, and also rethink the product. Do you really need to sell sausages? Do you really need to sell meat? Actually, the cheapest way to reduce your impact on the environment is stop eating meat. Is to stop eating meat. So, what if we won't bring meat to the market anymore? We could make a very big difference for the environment.
Yeah, we hope that someone would say that, because indeed, like, stop eating meat, or even like stop buying the products we don't need, or stop buying that candy bar or a fancy watch you actually don't need. So often when we rethink products, we maybe should rethink how people buy products, why people buy products. And I often have a thing in my mind that I wondered if it would work if we could like gradually sort of educate or change people's behavior by educating them on packages and start of like slowly moving them away from, maybe for example, but like probably the producers would never do this. The producers would never like make people move away, but there are many meat companies already that want to shift to like vegetarian options, but they don't want to scare away their customers. Like how could we help them, and how could packaging help them on like changing the behavior of the customers and making those customers accept that maybe eating meat is not the best idea?
If you are a meat producing company, you would be stupid to not innovate on vegetarian or vegan meat right now. Because if you don't, it's like selling CD-ROMs or MP3. How's it called in English? MP3.
MP3s.
MP3,
yeah.
Like the cassette recorder.
Yeah, like no one will buy it from you anymore, and we are moving towards a future where meat is not that interesting anymore as it used to be in the past. So it's actually right now about a quarter of the world population is eating vegetarian, eating a vegetarian diet. So that's 25% of the whole world, and that's not because they all choose it. It's also because they don't have money to buy meat. But like if one of 4 customers won't buy your product, it's very interesting to look into a vegetarian version of it.
Absolutely. Are there companies that already use packaging to like educate their customers about it, or maybe like get them ready for the whole transition into a meatless or an almost meatless society?
Yeah, this brand Oatly, they know them. They make vegan milk made out of almonds or whatever, and they are super open about how much carbon they send into the world and whatever, and they're like openly protesting against other companies.
I think I saw their advertisements.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They're quite cool.
Yeah, and I believe like as a company you really have to be open about what you're doing right now and how you improve yourself, and then take your customers into your own journey towards a better world. So you can be a company that's not too great for the environment, but if you show them you are trying to improve yourself, they actually will help you, and they will grow a heart for it. So it could be like even good for your marketing.
Yeah, because like customers are also starting to demand more and more that companies do take all these things into consideration and they are sustainable and they do make the transition. And of course that they go beyond greenwashing, because
greenwashing is is also a very big one in this subject.
It's a big problem, but people, they do get pointed out. It gets pointed out, like you can't get away with it that easily.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. No, that's great.
Great example of that. It's not like really a sustainable company, but they stand for human rights. Is Tony Chocolonely, a Dutch brand in chocolate, and they're trying to solve slavery in the chocolate chain, and they're very open about it. And they're also saying like, we're not there yet, but we're on a mission to create a chocolate chain without slaves. And with that, they really got all the hearts of the consumers, and they just ask them, buy your chocolate so that we can save more people from this world.
But they also really, really care. They go far beyond what's normal marketing. Like I think their CEO got arrested last week.
But like they grew in such a crazy amount of time, like such a short amount of time, and they grew into such a big company. Like they're really doing something right?
No, they are. Okay, no, so we're gonna end on a positive note. So I actually want to ask all of you to like move on to the wrap up. You can find it in the outline again, or just move a little bit to the right of the board, because this was the kickoff of the sustainability sessions. So we want to make this a monthly thing, and our goal is in these sessions to uncover the why and how of innovation for sustainability. So what we did today is like we invite a guest speaker so we can get more of the insights on sustainability and sustainable development. And then every week we want to play a game or an innovation tool or a creative thinking tool like we just did. And we would like to know from you guys as well, like what did you like? Did you have some unanswered questions? Has there been more or less of something or anything in this session? And do you have tips for the next speaker or the next topic? What should we talk about, or who should we invite? So if you can just drop in some sticky notes, whatever's on your mind, that would be great.
Yeah. What would help you guys to be better sustainable practitioners as well, or better, or make more impact?
Let's put on some ABBA for this.
More ABBA, always a good idea. It's always so exciting.
There's Simone. Now you're still on here, so I think you can easily answer this question. On here is, what are monoplastics?
Okay. If we talk about plastic, it's like plastic isn't just one material. We have like more than 30 different kind of plastics, and sometimes we combine them because one has this property and the other one has that property, and if you combine both of them, they will keep the product very, very sustained. But with combining different materials, we cannot recycle it anymore. So what the government is asking us right now, and what is a very great path to walk into, is innovating around monomaterials. So only using one kind of material, for example, in PET flessen, PET bottles. and like that way we give the waste processors a clear material so they can recycle it into the same material, because you cannot just drop all different kind of plastics in one bin and then make plastic out of it, because yeah, there's like a lot of different kind of plastics.
Cool. That does explain it. Then just a question for myself, because I'm always like buying those, because I did love meat a lot. Like back, I worked in a butcher back in the days, but then I went on the sustainable road and I decided, of course, to go vegetarian. But I do appreciate those meat replacements. But I noticed that all of them are packaged in huge amounts of plastics. Those hard covers around meat, are they monoplastics, or are a lot of properties and plastics combined in this?
Most of the time they are made out of PET, sometimes out of another kind of plastic. But then you got this foil, that thin plastic wrap over it, which is a different kind of material, and we melt them together to create an airtight packaging, and then yeah, you've got two different kinds of packaging combined, and that's a problem. Also, these sausages, they have a black plastic, hard plastic packaging, and black is like a no-go in the recycling world, because the lasers that track which kind of plastic it is, that read it, they cannot go through black plastic, so it will be burned.
No, that is really good to know. So try to avoid black plastics at all times.
Yes.
So, and if just an other curiosity, then I will go back to the wrap up. I'm just very curious about this. Like, if you buy, if you happen to end up with black plastic anyway, is it then better to throw it in like the separate waste, the restafval? I forgot the English. Or so you don't like pollute all your plastic, the whole.
No, they will just select it out of it, so they cannot read it. It will be taken off out of the waste stream, and then they just bring it into like waste stream that goes into burning.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can put it in your plastic waste, but you can also put it in the other bin, because they will also. Okay, the Dutch word is nascheiden, but I'm not sure what it is in English.
Separate manually the garbage?
Yeah, like all garbage will be separated after it comes in.
After it's collected.
Yeah.
So it's not separated by the consumers, but it's separated by the companies after it's collected from consumers.
Yeah, as a consumer, you're helping these companies, but also sometimes they're just making you separate it, so you will feel like you're part of the solution and be part of, you will have more to say about it. And
yeah, that's with the biodegradable packaging often, right? Yeah, like you shouldn't put it in the biocompost, biodegradable bin.
No, not at the moment. At the moment, yeah, you cannot put it in there, because they don't want it there, and they cannot make energy out of it. So it does compose, but it takes more than 12 weeks. Here in the Netherlands, we prefer to compose our products or our waste in 2 weeks. So that means that the plastic that you put in there, which needs 12 weeks to compose, will still be there after they compost it. And it also doesn't bring energy to the waste processor, and that energy is actually green energy. So we use that to warm up houses in the Netherlands.
I have a lot of questions about waste right now, but let's wrap up. And
that could be a really good topic for another day.
Good topic.
Waste management is a topic on itself. And then maybe someone wants to join us again.
Well, I have a lot to tell you about waste processing.
Really? That's okay. I didn't know that. So that's very interesting. Well, I'm seeing some really cool comments and feedback on there. That's amazing. The board, I think it will stay open, right? So if there's anything that you to when you're in bed tonight at 3 a.m. in the morning, it pops into your brain. Feel free to stick it on there afterwards.
Yeah, and if you want to keep the link and just have a look at it later, or like for yourself, see what other people popped on, you can just like copy paste the link from the Zoom chat. And I will as well, because we recorded this whole thing, and I will throw it in the meetup and the Eventbrite. I will add the mural link to the Eventbrite board as well, so you can exit later.
Yeah. So, yes, I think that kind of wraps it up. Thank you very, very much, guys. Will you be joining us next time?
For sure.
Yay! And then maybe we can participate in your podcast in the meantime. Who knows?
Yes, I already did there, so yeah, hopefully.
That would be very cool.
It's 2 podcasts actually that I would like to.
Oh, it's 2. Wow.
Yeah, there's two, but I'm not sure that well, we'll see.
One on session, and the other one was.
So we have Sustainably in Love and Locura Sustentable. Locura Sustentable is crazy sustainability.
Crazy sustainability.
Typically it's in Spanish, our guests, but every now and then we're gonna bring English as well, speakers. We have about 30-40% of Latin America that speaks English or understands well, so it's worth bringing English speaking guests for sure. So it will be amazing to have you guys for sure.
Felipe, what is his name? He's really big, like he's lived in the Netherlands and Brazil at the same time. He's really big in regenerative nature and farming. And he studied at the same university as Simone and I did. And he's really cool. Like I will forward his name to you.
Yeah.
That was a Spanish speaker as well. So
great.
Yeah. And it would be good for me to practice as well again.
Ian is asking what the podcast website is. Where they go.
Oh, there you go. That's good. Yeah.
I will share the link here and also the link for our Instagram so you can see what we post. Cool. It's mainly in Spanish, but if in Instagram you put like the translation, then it will pop up all the information in English.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing, I know Ian, I do know, we actually met in Malaga when we were both living there. So we have a Spanish network as well for you guys that we can share this podcast with. So that's kind of nice. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
Thanks really much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put this one on the board under your podcast notes so other people can find it as well, because this chat will disappear.
Yep.
So
that would be nice.
Cool. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thanks so much. Do you want to keep the Zoom link open, Minu? Because I think I'm gonna get kicked out of my co-working space. They normally close at 9, but they smiled and said, you can stay here a little bit longer.
Let's wrap it up. It's been quite long.
Yeah, and then we can all enjoy the nice weather today.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you really much.
Guys.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.